Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Short Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Short. Today is Friday, December 20th, 2013, and I took another week vacation type thing back to Texas, and I come back just to find out that the Short Sports Show is now a part of iHeartRadio. We did get approved to iHeartRadio, so some of you may be listening on iHeartRadio and on Spreaker.com or YouTube, whichever one. Check out all three to re-listen to all of them, all the past episodes, and just in case you're just, I don't know, whatever. But it's very exciting news to see that, the support and hard work is now showing, and being a part of iHeartRadio is very, very exciting, and excited for what the future holds for the Short Sports Show. But we're go on and get into it. It's bowl season starts tomorrow for college football. Also, NFL regular season is now in the last 2 weeks, and it's crazy. It just feels like it was just, last week was opening kickoff, and now the season is basically coming to an end. Also, a lot of injuries to main players for NFL teams that are going to be out with some star players, and how it's going to affect them going towards the playoffs and things like that. So we'll go ahead and start talking about college football. Some news. Wisconsin running back Melvin Gordon is set to return for next season. He will be a redshirt junior, so he would be eligible for the NFL draft this year, but decided to stay and return for Wisconsin. He led the nation in yards per carry with 8.1. Also had runs over 60 yards 4 times, ran over 60 yards, and also 3 times over 70 yards. He finished the year with 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns as a semifinalist for the Doak Walker Award. And Wisconsin has just had a good amount of running backs they've been able to recruit really good running backs. I mean, obviously most of the credit is due to that offensive line, that they've been able to just get guys that are 6'5", 6'4", and 270, 80 pounds, and just able to help these running backs, make their own way, make plays. But they've also got some very stud running backs over the past few years, and this Melvin Gordon guy is the real deal, and it's going to be cool to see him come back next year and what he can bring to the Wisconsin offense. Also, Notre Dame and Boston College are set to play at Fenway Park. Yes, the Boston Red Sox where the Boston Red Sox play in 2015. And Notre Dame is basically going everywhere. They'll be in Indianapolis to play in 2014, and also they will play in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio in 2016. All different opponents, but to play in Fenway Park, to see a football game there will be amazing. Boston College, I'm not a huge fan that they had to pick them out of all teams to go there, but it had to be something with, obviously Boston College. Yeah, it had to be something with that. Also, Alabama suspended outside linebacker Xavier Dixon and freshman running back Alvin Kamara for the Sugar Bowl versus Oklahoma. The linebacker had been splitting time, but has made a few amount of plays throughout the season for them, so he's going to be out for the game. They didn't say specifically why he's going to be out for the game, but it looks like some behavioral issues that he's had. Also, with the freshman running back, he had not played all year this year, but was on and off the practice roster and would have played versus LSU, but had other troubles that he was dealing with. So 2 players out for Alabama. Baylor wide receiver Tevin Reese will play in the Fiesta Bowl versus UCF, and that is a huge, huge thing for Baylor. Their leading receiver in yards and touchdowns, and it's going to help Bryce Petty rack up those stats against a UCF defense that's not really the best. That game could be one of the highest scoring games or one of the biggest blowout games in Fiesta Bowl history, and maybe even BCS. Baylor. We'll talk about more of those bowl games once they get closer to the actual date. But it looks like Baylor having Tevin Reese is really going to help them, and might just be a blowout game for Baylor. Also, former Texas Tech quarterback Baker Mayfield is set to walk on at Oklahoma. And the weird thing is he had no scholarships. I had very few, if any. I think they were very small schools, didn't want to go there, and walked on at Texas Tech this year, and then won the starting job in preseason, and leads Texas Tech to a 7-5 record. Made some plays and was pretty solid from time to time. Was able to make plays on throwing and running the ball, and they said that he is going to be that he was leaving Texas Tech, that he was seeking a transfer before the obviously the bowl game hasn't happened, but after the season, he said he was going for a different team, that he was wanting to leave Texas Tech because of communications with the head coaches, between him and the head coaches, and out of all teams that he decides to go to, he's looking at Oklahoma. Now, there hasn't been any talks between the Oklahoma staff and Baker Mayfield, but he is looking at Oklahoma as being the place to go, and it's going to be interesting to see him go there. It's like he can't transfer is a thing. Even though he's seeking a transfer, he can't transfer to another Big 12 school. So by doing that, whatever scholarship he might have earned over the year at Texas Tech will not be eligible to go to a Big 12 school. So if he does go to Oklahoma, he will have to walk on, and that means paying college tuition, all the other stuff. So whatever his background is, if he's able to pay for it or not, will be decided to that. But he can still earn a scholarship once he has walked on at Oklahoma, which I'm guessing would happen. But Texas Tech is just losing everybody. They also lost their co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Sonny, was it Cumble or something like that, to TCU, which is very exciting because obviously TCU offense needs some help, very much so, and especially with not knowing who's going to be the quarterback for TCU, having him to go over there. So Texas Tech has just been crashing downhill after the season has started, or after mid-season when they started losing those games. But that was basically it for news in college football. We'll go ahead and talk about what to watch for in college football, which tomorrow is the start of the bowl season. It's very exciting. There are 4 games to be played, and then after that there's a day break, and then back on Monday, which we'll talk about. We have an early show on Monday, and we'll talk about those games as well. And the beginning games for college football in the bowl season, they're really just those low teams that just made eligibility, the bowl eligibility list, and most of the small schools. Now there's obviously Fresno State and USC will be playing in the Las Vegas Bowl. Those two teams, being ranked, and also USC having a big name, that's not a small school. But majority of these first 2 weeks, or actually just the first week of the bowl games, will be very low teams that mostly you probably won't care about. But since school is now out, depending on who you're working, you might have more time to watch some college football, and especially if you're a huge college football fan, these are the only teams playing, so might as well watch the game. So we start off with the first game. Washington State takes on Colorado State in a New Mexico Bowl. That will be at 11 a.m. Pacific time on ESPN. I see Washington State getting a close game victory over them. Then number 20 Fresno State takes on number 25 USC on the Las Vegas Bowl, which will be at 12 p.m. Pacific on ABC. And Derek Carr having his last game, wanting to show his scouts. I could see Fresno State taking the win away from USC, but I feel like a lot of people are expecting USC to win the game just because of the name, USC over Fresno State. A lot of people just pick USC just because of that. But I do see Derek Carr having a pretty solid game. Buffalo will take on San Diego State in the Idaho Potato Bowl at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. And how both of these teams made the bowl games, that tells you where we need to up the rate in wins and who should be eligible for bowl games, because Buffalo and San Diego State is really not that exciting. It's just not exciting, especially at the Idaho Potato Bowl. Really? That's the game we got to watch at 2:30. And then finally, the last game will be Tulane versus Louisiana Lafayette in the New Orleans Bowl at 6:30 ESPN. And poor Louisiana Lafayette. I mean, you're already in Louisiana. You want to probably, my mindset, if I was a coach or athletic director, whoever, once you get invited to a few bowl games, where do you want to go? I don't want to go in the same state I'm at, because most people don't realize, you think a bowl game, oh, it's just, to go somewhere, you get some of those, those gifts that they give you, and also, to go somewhere new and just to win the bowl game. They don't realize it's also a recruiting thing as well. I mean, if you, for New Orleans, for that team, Louisiana, you might want to go to Texas, some small Texas bowl game, and, try to go there to, for recruiting, to show other, people, small players from Texas, and say, hey, we got this school over here, not playing the same state that you have been for the past 9 games of your, regular season. But again, if you don't get invited to a certain bowl game, only one game, then obviously you have to go there. But so your main game is obviously Fresno State versus USC in the middle of the day. So hopefully people are off to see that. Again, that is tomorrow, Saturday, on ABC, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Fresno State and USC on ABC. Moving on to the NFL, injury news has been crazy this season, and it seems like every year injuries get worse and worse to star players that we're seeing. Obviously, the main one is quarterback. Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers will be out again this week versus the Steelers. That collarbone is still not there, ready for him, and most likely, this is week 16 now. They might as well just shut him down there's no reason to play him next week. Obviously, I know they're still in the playoff hunt, and they should win against the Steelers, even with Matt Flynn at quarterback. But, I see Detroit winning that division, and Green Bay, I think if they're smart not to just risk anything on Aaron Rodgers to make it worse for the upcoming season, might as well just shut him down, and wherever Matt Flynn can take him, let him take him. Also, Denver wide receiver Wes Welker is out until the playoffs after having 2 concussions in 3 weeks. Will sit out until playoffs. So, with Broncos having the number 1 seed and clinching the first round bye, that should be able to help them, get even an extra week off instead of, obviously the wild card and divisional playoffs, or the wild card. Having them an extra week to rest, it will be a good thing for Wes Welker to get healthy and help them out in the playoffs. Also, Minnesota running back Adrian Peterson is ready to play. He is clear to play this week. Chicago linebacker Lance Briggs is also clear. Arizona quarterback Carson Palmer is game time decision versus the Seattle Seahawks. And somehow Arizona, what are they, 8-4, 9-4 right now? That is crazy. I seriously, no one has talked about Arizona and how they're still in the playoff race, and how, that they actually have an above 500 record. If you would have told me that, the beginning of the year that they would be where they're at right now, I would have said that, you're wrong. They wouldn't be. I wouldn't think they'd be that good right now, and somehow they are. And we'll have to see if Carson Palmer is healthy and is able to play against the Seattle Seahawks, how he plays against them. Again, if he is fully healthy, then, we'll be able to see how Arizona is going to be able to compete in the playoffs. Also, New York Giants wide receiver Victor Cruz is out for the season will undergo knee surgery, and it's kind of weird to say out for the season when there's 2 weeks left, but will be out, and that really doesn't, I guess, affect them too much, because Giants didn't have a shot in the playoffs anymore now. So I guess if anything, I know he's gonna have to go through surgery, but be able to rest some and now wait for next year. But man, if Victor Cruz, I know he signed the extension, last year or the year before. I try to get out of New York and just try to get traded. Just say, hey, you can cancel my entire contract. Just get me out of here. Let me go to a team that's going to win. But I think for him it's money, so most likely not. And also, Detroit tight end Brandon Pettigrew is out as well this week. And along with injury news, there's been a lot of fines that were hit down on some key players. Philadelphia quarterback Nick Foles was fined $10,000 for peel back block on one of the Minnesota Vikings linebackers. I don't exactly know what a peel back peel back block is, I'm guessing, almost like a horse collar. But it's crazy to see fined $10,000 for that. Also, Arizona linebackers Marcus Bernard was fined $15,000 for a quarterback hit, and also linebacker Darrell Washington out of TCU. I really don't know if I should have put that in there right now because he got fined $5,000 for unsportsmanlike conduct. But yeah, he's still from TCU, and he's a beast. Even though he got suspended 4 weeks, the first 4 weeks of the season for some PED use, I think. So that's not the best. But anyways, Tennessee linebacker Cameron Wembley was fined $10,000 for a quarterback hit. Then Cincinnati cornerback Dre Kirkpatrick also was fined $7,875 for a face mask. Baltimore strong safety Matt Elam, same amount on a quarterback hit. And then St. Louis linebacker Eugene Sims also fined $7,875 on a hit on Darren Sproles against the Saints past week. And some other news, Brandon Browner. Now, some of you might have heard that he was suspended because of breaking one of the NFL rules of smoking marijuana. And this was a repeated offense. And they finally said, hey, you're out for the year. You're suspended for the rest of the year. No pay, no nothing, gone, done. And he is entering this was his last year on his contract for the Seattle Seahawks. There were already questions before the season even started whether they keep him or not because of other players they need to deal with contracts, with Earl Thomas, and I believe I can't think of his name. Not Richard Sherman. Cam Chancellor. I believe both of those players, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, are looking at new contracts as well. So they're already going to be, messing around with contracts, and Brandon Browner being a little bit older than both of them, seeing what they were going to do. But anyways, Brandon Browner tried to appeal it. It got rejected to not have, the entire year suspension. But says he will sue the NFL if this doesn't, that he's just because he sees that it's wrong. Now in the state of Washington, and actually it doesn't even matter in the NFL. Smoking marijuana is illegal in the NFL. You can't do it. It's against the rules in the NFL, and in the state of Washington, it is legal. The card and all this other crap. But Brandon Browner, really, just drop it. You're out. You're older now. Your career is done. And so why go through all this stress and hassle and, trying to sue the NFL for, I guess, a little bit of money or your money back or something to finish out his contract or something. But it's just drop it. Just live your life now, focus on your family, and not go through all this stress of trying to sue the NFL because of your decision. I had a lot of respect for Brandon Browner because he was a beast on the field. Even though this past year, I think this past 2 years, he wasn't able to play at his best like he was when he did get his contract extension, when he had, 6 interceptions about 2 or 3 years ago. And hasn't been able to even come close to that the past 2 years. So it's more of just, the game is passed on him, and he just needs to move on now. But that was about it for the NFL. So what to watch for this week? In the NFL, we had some crazy games last week, including the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. So that game, I'm back home, and I'm with my cousins and watching the game. We see the Cowboys are up 26-3 or 23-3, something around that. And we go to the store. We're not listening to the game or anything. We're just going to the store. Gone about what felt like we were only gone for about 20 minutes. We happened to be gone for an entire half, almost the entire half, to come back and see the score that Cowboys were only up by either 3 points or so, or had already lost the lead. And we're thinking, what is going on? And then we find out, the Cowboys, they still have the lead. They get the ball back, and they start throwing the ball, and which ultimately led to Tony Romo throwing an interception, and basically sealing the deal for the Green Bay to go down and score and win the game. And we're thinking, why aren't they running the ball? DeMarco Murray's a good running back. got the game in your hands, you're able to, make something happen. Why aren't the Cowboys running the ball, and why are we throwing? And that's all my family was saying, because they're huge Cowboys fans, and I'm just like, I'm agreeing with them. I'm like, yeah, why? The clear thing, I mean, if an average fan can just say, why aren't you running the ball when it's an obvious situation to run the ball and you're passing it, and then you end up throwing an interception to lose the game, there's something wrong with that. And so I think Jason Garrett should, along with him and the offensive coordinator, who I, of course, can't think of the name, and I probably will after this show, I'll think of the name. Monty Kiffin's on defense. I can't believe I can't think of the name right now. But anyways, you guys know who I'm talking about. Should both be fired at the end of the year and just be done with it. Jerry Jones, I know a lot of people don't like him because they think, all this, but there was an interesting thing that I tweeted on Twitter at @short_sports24-7. Self-plug right there. But since Jerry Jones has bought the Cowboys, he has more Super Bowl wins than any owner in the NFL right now. Now, I know he doesn't make the best decisions at football right now. I think with the state, this is just a real quick thing about the Cowboys. So not really a rant, but what they should do. Jerry Jones, continue to be the owner. Whether people want to think of it or focus on it or not, he's the smartest owner and marketing owner there is in the NFL, probably ever. So another thing is, stay at owner. Cowboys fans, they don't really think about it, but he needs to stay at owner. The thing he needs to stop doing is stop being a GM. They need to go out and get a real NFL GM that has experience and being successful at a GM position. Get a real GM, not someone that's already inside the Cowboys, someone that's outside the Cowboys. Go get a GM. Go get a new offensive coordinator. Restack your entire staff. Because right now, Cowboys, we've always talked about this for the past, 6-7 years now. They have a talented roster, guys that can win, that can compete. But, I mean, if you can't use that excuse every single year and still not win a playoff game and not make the playoffs or start choking towards the end of the year. I mean, we make fun of Romo a lot, but he is a really good quarterback. Just makes bad decisions. It's either he's really clutch and he's one of the best clutch quarterbacks. In some games, he really is. And then, obviously, just like last week, he can show why he can be one of the worst non-clutch quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, it's just a very weird thing. And you can't keep saying we have talented players that can compete. And even though you do, but you can't get it done, it obviously shows that there's something else that's wrong. So you need a new GM, new staff, redo everything in this draft, and start moving forward. Because the Cowboys, I don't know. That's just a quick thing I want to bring up. But what to watch for this week in the NFL? First game is the Saints at the Panthers. Now, last time the Saints and the Panthers went at it was in New Orleans, and the Panthers absolutely got crushed and looked terrible. They looked like the team they had been for the past 2-3 years. And people were thinking Cam Newton's good. He's finally got the team winning. He's got to win. This is a home game. They need this win. Try to keep that wild card spot, because there's a lot of teams trying to sneak in there to get those last 2 wild card spots, and the Saints trying to clinch that that second NFC spot and get the first round bye. They need to get this win. I don't see it happening. I think what the Saints did last time is it's going to be basically a repeat. Saints, my prediction: Saints 34, Panthers 17. Then the next game is the Cardinals at the Seahawks. Again, Cardinals trying to make a push into the playoffs. They obviously need to get this game, and it's too bad for them that it's in Seattle, which it did snow today. It was my first time seeing real snow. I'm from Texas. You don't see snow other than in North Texas, but it was pretty cool. Anyways, that has nothing to do with anything, but Cardinals need to get this win to just keep their playoffs hopes alive, especially with the 49ers still trying to push in there as well. But I do see the Seahawks getting the victory, 28-17. Then the Patriots are on the road at Baltimore against the Ravens, and I see Patriots getting it done, 24-21. And then the Bears at the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Foles, you did a good job for me in my fantasy team. I thank you. My fantasy season is over. I lost in the playoffs because someone forgot to set my lineup before I left to Texas, which was my fault. And no excuses, but yeah, I lost because of that. Anyways, I do see the Eagles getting the victory 30-28 over the Chicago Bears. And then finally, how can I leave out my Chargers? What a great job they did. They beat the Denver Broncos on the road 27-20. How did we do it? I have no idea. But one thing I wanted to bring up about the Chargers real quick. Now, I want people to forget that I'm a Chargers fan. I want you to go look at their schedule. Right now, go ahead and just look at their schedule. There's only, if you look at it clearly and you look at the stats, and if you have the I don't know how to say it, but if you can watch those games or rewatch it, or if you did watch it and just think about it, the Chargers could have actually just have lost one game all year so far, and that was against the Raiders, who they play again, and that was early in the season. If you think about it, this is why, and I'm not being biased towards my team. I want to get that clear. And if you go look at the schedule, as I say this, you will see what I'm talking about. Check this out. Chargers week 1 was against the Texans. They had a halftime lead. I can't really remember, but I'm pretty sure it was like 20-something to nothing, or very close to that. They lose the game, giving up the halftime lead against the Texans, who we now know are just terrible this year. So you take that away, there's a victory. Then a few weeks later, they played Tennessee on the road, losing literally the last 15 seconds. You take that away, another victory. Then later on in the road, obviously they got beat badly by the Raiders. Should have never happened, but I'm going to take that as a loss. Then, we play Miami, we play Washington, we play Denver, and there's always this other team that I forget, and a few other teams that we lost to. The other 4 teams that we lost to, or maybe I did list them all. We lost by a touchdown, really. Literally just by a touchdown, the Chargers lose. So you take all those away, and against the Bengals as well, you take those away, and if the Chargers actually don't let their defense struggle and they get those victories, Chargers could actually be not only the best team in the NFL, that's it. They would be the best team in the NFL right now. So you're looking at a team that's 7-7 right now, trying to keep the playoff hopes alive against the Raiders this week, and then they have the Chiefs at home next week. You could see a Chargers team right now that even though they're 7-7, they could really just be 13-1 right now, which is crazy. And I know people are going to think, oh, you're just a Chargers fan. You're just saying that. That's not true. Look it up for yourself. And I'm not being biased. I'm dead serious. Now, I know, you can't go back in the season, this and that. And I know. But I'm just saying, this team is not that far away from being that one-loss team. Just saying. It's a crazy thing. But anyways, I do see the Chargers getting the victory 31-17 and trying to get that last wild card spot. Hopefully with Miami losing, and hopefully Baltimore loses against the Ravens or against the Patriots. That would help as well. So some MLB news. Baltimore Orioles will not sign closing pitcher Grant Balfour after a failed physical. He agreed to, I believe, a 2-year, $15 million deal, and that will not happen now because of a failed physical. Also, Kevin Youkilis will play in Japan for a year. Why at the age of 34, and made the bad decision to leave Boston to go to New York when he could have won a World Series with Boston. It's like, might as well should have just stayed, but really should just retire. There's no reason for him to go play in Japan for, trying to get signed mid-season or trying to come back the next year. But that's his decision, what he's doing. Carlos Beltran signed a 3-year, $45 million to play with the New York Yankees. Twins signed catcher Kurt Suzuki to a 1-year, $2.75 million contract. Also, the Oakland A's re-signed first baseman Derek Barton to a 1-year deal to avoid arbitration. And at 41 years old, Raul Ibanez signs with the LA Angels to a 1-year, $2.75 million contract. Why the Angels did that? If that's their player to replace Mark Trumbo, that's bad. That is very, very bad. If that's the guy who's going to try to replace Trumbo, I mean, that's a guy you're asking to replace 27 home runs. What was it, 27? And a good amount of RBIs. I don't know. I really hope I hope Ibanez is just a player that's coming off the bench. Also, D-backs signed third baseman Eric Chavez to, did not say, I believe it was just a 3-year extension. And also the D-backs signed Brad Ziegler to a 2-year, $10.5 million deal. Was 8-1 with 13 saves, 2.2 ERA in 76 games last year for the D-backs. And that will about do it for the show. We now have a longer time, so I don't have to really push everything in 30 minutes, even though this show is basically 30 minutes now. But now being pro, and well, when I say pro, I'm not saying I'm a pro, but the show being upgraded now, thanks to iHeartRadio and thanks to you guys for the support. I am now to be able to go over. I can actually go, I think, over 300 minutes, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, so it's very exciting. iHeartRadio, we're now a part of iHeartRadio. That is very exciting news. The show is, doing very well, going up, and it's exciting to, know that, support and hard work is paying off now, and it's very, very exciting. So the next show will be on Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. We'll recap, obviously, Week 16 in the NFL. We'll talk about the bowl games and the bowl games that are happening that day. And finally, those would be really good bowl games, with more ranked teams and what's upcoming. And obviously, Christmas. Christmas is next week. That'll be fun as well. So make sure you follow me on Spreaker.com. Just click the follow button. It's free, and it's awesome once you click it. You have an amazing feeling once you click that follow button. Also, follow me on Twitter at @short_sports24-7. And I tweet about a whole lot of things, stuff random, retweets, favorites, crazy stuff. And other things like that. Also, if you missed this episode or any other episodes that you want to go back and re-listen to, go on youtube.com, type in the Short Sports Show. Make sure you like and subscribe while you are there. And also on Facebook to like my page there. It's same thing as my Twitter, just you get other news as well, I guess. But again, same thing, the Short Sports Show. Go ahead and go over there and like the page. Again, you just feel amazing once you just click that button. It's an awesome feeling. I click it, but I can't because it's my page, so I can't do that. But you guys know the deal. Anyways, guys, next Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific time here on Spreaker.com or on iHeartRadio. It is awesome to now be able to say that we are part of iHeartRadio. Very, very exciting. And I will see you guys next Monday. Hope everybody enjoys their break, and see you guys then.